cheated on him 11 years ago, but didn't think he would find out like this.
Hey Reddit, first-time poster here, but long-time lurker. My name is Mike, a 38-year-old who runs construction projects here in the heart of Columbus, Ohio. Life's been good, or at least I thought it was. You see, I've built my life the way I build my projects, with care, precision, and a blueprint for everything. My wife, Emily, is 36, teaches a bunch of lively first graders, and has always been the kind of person who lights up a room with her smile. We've got 2 amazing kids, a dog that's too smart for its own good, and a house that feels like it's straight out of a family sitcom. Now, I'm the kind of guy who doesn't mess around. Straight shooter, they call me. Loyalty is the foundation I've laid my life upon. I don't forgive easy, and I don't forget. Betrayal isn't just a word in a dictionary to me. It's a collapsed building that can't be put back up. But let me take you back a bit, 11 years to be exact. That was the year I proposed to Emily under the stars at the Columbus Park of Roses. She had tears in her eyes, and I knew I had the whole world in my hands. Our love. It was the kind that you didn't question, solid and supposed to last until the earth stopped turning. Now fast forward to today, or rather, a few days ago. Christmas is breathing down our necks, and I'm up in the attic searching for the decorations. It's a mess up there. Dust is a blanket over boxes we haven't touched in years. That's when I find this old flip phone tucked away in a box marked Memories 2008. Funny, I don't remember us keeping old phones as keepsakes. Curiosity has always been a friend of mine, so I think, why not see if this ancient relic still works? I find the old charger, plug it in, and the little screen flickers to life. It's like waking up a piece of the past. And boy, did the past have a lot to say. I'm not prepared for what I find. Messages that turn my sturdy world into quicksand. Hey everyone. Unfortunately, basically everyone who is watching these videos isn't subscribed. It would mean the world to me to quickly get out of the full screen video for 3 seconds and press that subscribe button. It's free, and you can unsubscribe anytime. Sorry for bothering, and thank you so much if you subscribed. They aren't to me or any family member. No, they're to someone named Dan with little hearts next to his name. My brain starts doing the math before I can stop it. 11 years ago, Emily never mentioned any Dan. So there I am, sitting in the dust and the cold, with every heartbeat feeling like a sledgehammer against my ribs. I've got to know more, but not like this. Not with half-told truths from a phone that should have stayed lost. I slide the phone into my pocket, head downstairs, and plaster on a smile for the kids. But inside, I'm anything but the festive dad they see. I'm a man on a mission for the truth. And that's where I am, Reddit. Standing on the edge of what feels like a cliff, looking down into what might be the end of everything I've known. But I'm not the kind of guy who just jumps. I'm the kind who plans the descent. So, I'm going to find out everything before I confront her. Because in my world, you don't accuse without proof. You don't tear down a building without knowing exactly why it's gotta fall. I'll keep you all posted. Hey Reddit, back again. It's Mike. I wish this update was to tell you all about how the phone was just a silly misunderstanding, but life's got a way of throwing curveballs that would make a major league pitcher jealous. I found that old charger, and wouldn't you know it, the darn thing actually worked. The phone came to life with that old familiar jingle like it was no different than any other day. My heart was racing, the kind of adrenaline you get when you're standing on a high beam 10 stories up with no harness. That's when I saw it. A messaging app I didn't recognize, blinking with notifications that were years past their delivery date. Reading those messages was like watching a car crash in slow motion. They were from Emily to this guy, Dan, filled with words that felt like punches to the gut. I miss you. Can't wait to see you. Last night was a dream. Every single one a betrayal. Every word another crack in the life I thought I had. The dates, they lined up perfectly with a time I remember all too well. 11 years ago, I was laid up with a bad fall from a site, the kind of injury that has you staring at the ceiling for weeks. It was Emily who played the devoted fiancée, bringing me meals and managing my meds. Or so I thought. Now I'm seeing it was also Emily who was sneaking off to play house with some guy while I was whacked out on painkillers. I sat there on our bed, this phone in my hand feeling like a live grenade. My head was spinning, disbelief, anger, and yeah, that sting of betrayal that sears your insides like a branding iron. Emily, the woman I shared my bed, my life, my kids with, sneaking around like a character from one of those trashy soap operas she hates. I wanted to storm down the stairs, confront her with her little love notes to Dan and watch her face for any flicker of guilt. But that's not me. I'm not the confrontation on a whim kind of guy. I needed to know everything first, have all my ducks in a row. Because when I bring the hammer down, I want it to be with the full force of the truth behind it. So, I'm playing the long game. I locked those messages in my head and that phone back in my tool chest. Emily, she's acting normal, like any other day. She's got no idea that I know, and I'm keeping it that way for now. But every smile, every peck on the cheek, feels like a lie now. I need to dig deeper, make sure I have the whole picture before I blow up our lives. If I'm pulling the house down, I'm going to be damn sure I know why I'm doing it. I'll let you know what I find, Reddit, because right now, it's all I've got. All right, Reddit, it's Mike here, clocking back in with an update. If you've ever thought life could be as tangled as the cords behind your TV, then welcome to the club. The past few days have been like living in a detective show, except I'm the guy piecing together his own case of domestic heartbreak. With the stealth of a cat, I started combing through the history of us. I went down to the basement, where we keep all our old planners. You know Emily, being a teacher, she's meticulous about keeping records. So, I dug out the one from 11 years ago, dusted it off, and what I found was a map to the past. Days she said she was working late, business trips, and those mandatory team-building weekends. I cross-checked dates with the messages, and guess what? It was like fitting pieces into a puzzle, a really sad, pathetic puzzle. Then, there was the social media archaeology dig. I jumped onto the old Facebook account I haven't used in years, scrolling way back to simpler times, or so I thought. There were pictures, Emily and this Dan guy, always side by side at work events, always tagged together. Great job, team. Couldn't have done it without you, Dan. It was all right there in the open, and I was too blind to see it. The more I found, the more meticulous I got with my documentation. Screenshots, printed emails I found saved on an old hard drive, receipts for dinners out that I thought were for client meetings. It was like I was building a case for a jury, except the only juror was me, and my verdict was already pretty much decided. All this time, I'm putting on the Oscar-worthy performance of the unsuspecting husband. I kept it normal, the goodnight kisses, the how was your day, banter. It was eating me up inside though. Every smile from her was like a twist of the knife, but I couldn't let on. I've got to keep the act up for the kids too. They don't deserve to get dragged into this mess. Dan, this guy, turns out he left Ohio a few years back. Moved on to some tech job in California, a whole new life. I even found his LinkedIn profile. Great at building professional and personal relationships. Yeah, a real charmer. So there you have it, Reddit. The case of Mike versus the ghost of infidelity past. All evidence points to a guilty verdict. What's left now is the confrontation. But it's gotta be more than just a showdown. It's got to be the final act of a play that's been running for too long. I need to plan it out perfectly, down to the last word. Because when I do this, when I finally confront Emily, I want to see the truth in her eyes without a shadow of doubt. I'll make sure to update you all when the curtain rises. Thanks for following, guys. It means more than you know. Hey Reddit, Mike here again. This story's turning out to be longer than one of those never-ending drama series, huh? But every story needs its climax, and mine's just around the corner. I've decided it's going down on our anniversary. That's right. The day that was supposed to celebrate our union is going to be D-Day. There's a cruel irony in it, but it feels fitting. The same day I asked her to be mine forever is the day I'm going to lay all the cards on the table. Now, you don't just walk into a hurricane without bracing yourself. So I've been steeling my heart for what's coming. It's been like living in a house of mirrors, every reflection showing a happy family. But I know too well that some of those images are nothing but illusions. The pain of keeping up the act is a constant burn. It's there when I wake up and kiss Emily good morning. It's there when we sit down for dinner and chat about what the kids did at school. And it's there when I turn off the lights and pretend I'm falling asleep next to a woman I trust. My jaw's been clenched so tight, I'm surprised I haven't cracked a tooth. But here's the deal. I'm not going into this blind. I've got a plan. I've scripted the questions, rehearsed them in my head and in front of the bathroom mirror. The words feel like lead on my tongue, but they're ready to be fired when the moment comes. I'm going to take her out to dinner, the same place we celebrated getting engaged. It's always been our spot. I'll let the evening settle, let her sip her favorite wine, and then I'll ask her about the past. Not like I'm curious, but like I know something's off. And when she realizes I'm not just making conversation, I'll show her the proof. I want to see her face, watch her eyes, and know what she's really feeling. Is there guilt, remorse? I need to see it, raw and unfiltered. The conversation in my head goes 100 different ways, but every time it ends with me walking away from the table. So, that's the plan, Reddit. As for the emotional prep, well, let's just say it's a work in progress. Every morning I have to swallow the bitterness, and every night I have to drown out the anger with a couple of beers. It's tough, not letting the rage or the hurt slip through the cracks. But this charade is necessary for just a little while longer. I'll update you all after. Whether it's the end of an era or the start of a new chapter, you guys will be the first to know. Hey Reddit, Mike here. It's been a minute since my last update, and oh boy, do I have a story for you. Our anniversary. That was the night I decided would be the grand finale of this tragic play. We went to our spot, the little Italian place downtown where I'd gotten down on one knee all those years ago. The same table, the same dim lighting casting golden halos around the room, the same old waiter with his lopsided grin. It was supposed to be romantic, celebrating a decade and a year of marriage. Emily was all smiles, dolled up in her favorite dress, the one that made her eyes look like the ocean. And there I was, a storm brewing behind my forced smiles. We ate, she talked, I nodded. The dance of normalcy was excruciating, each course a step closer to D-Day. With every bite, I felt like I was swallowing down the anger. The wine was bitter on my tongue. Finally, we got home. The babysitter left, the kids were already in bed, and that's when I turned from loving husband to the man with a mission. I didn't even let her settle, didn't offer coffee or the comfort of the couch. I laid it out, the old phone, the messages, the pictures, like cards on the table. At first, she laughed it off, a nervous chuckle that didn't quite reach her eyes. She tried to say it was a joke, a silly thing from the past, but her voice was as shaky as a leaf in a storm. Then came the hard proof, the dates, the details I had meticulously gathered. The laughter died. Her face went from pale to flush, a tide of realization washing over her. And then, the dam broke. The tears, the sobbing, the "I'm so sorries." But here's the thing, Reddit. I felt nothing. No sympathy for those crocodile tears, no warmth in the coldness spreading inside me. My voice was like steel when I told her it was over. She pleaded, she promised it was a mistake, a thing of the past, but it was too little, too late. I told her I'd be sleeping in the guest room until we figured out what to do with the house, the kids, the broken shards of our life together. She cried herself to sleep on the sofa, and I lay awake, staring at the ceiling of a room I barely recognized. So the dust has settled a bit since the night of revelations. And by settled, I mean it's like the quiet after a bomb's gone off. In the aftermath, there's been a lot of debris, emotions, memories, the bits and pieces of a life I thought I knew. I sat Emily down the day after. It wasn't a negotiation, it was a declaration. I told her I wanted a divorce, no second chances, no couples therapy. The trust was shattered, and I'm not the kind of guy who tries to piece together a broken mirror. She cried. Sure, she said sorry 1,000 times, maybe more. But my course was set. The kids, man, telling the kids was the hardest part. I sat them down, looked into their confused little faces, and explained that sometimes, even mommies and daddies need timeouts from each other, that we both loved them more than anything, and that wouldn't change, no matter where we slept at night. There were tears, questions I had tough answers for, and through it all, I had to keep it together for their sake. I called a family meeting too, told my parents, my sister, a few close friends. It was a mixed bag. Some were shocked, couldn't believe sweet Emily could do such a thing. Others, they just hugged me, said they had my back. My dad, he's a man of few words, just squeezed my shoulder and gave me that nod. That, you're doing the right thing nod. Emily's now looking for a new place. We agreed she would move out. It's better for the kids to stay in their home, keep some semblance of normalcy. We're hashing out the details of co-parenting. It's like walking a tightrope, but we're doing it. For the kids. The lawyers are in the picture now, drawing up the papers, splitting up the life I spent almost 15 years stitching together. It's cold, it's impersonal, but it's necessary. Like cutting away the damaged part of a building so the rest can still stand. I'm not looking back, Reddit. I've always been the guy who looks ahead, makes the decisions, and doesn't dwell on the what-ifs. I stand by my principles. Loyalty, honesty, and if you can't give me that, you're not getting a second chance. So, that's where I'm at. A single dad, soon to be divorced, standing on my own 2 feet and looking out for my kids. It's not going to be easy, but then again, I've never been one to shy away from the hard stuff. Thanks for sticking with me. I'll drop another update when the next shoe drops. What's up, Reddit? It's Mike, back for what feels like the final chapter of a saga I never wanted to star in. It's been several weeks since I last spilled my guts to the internet. I've read every single comment, taken every piece of advice, and I've got to say, it's made a difference. The kids and I, we're doing okay. Better than okay, some days. There's laughter in the house again, real laughter. We've had our moments, plenty of them. But we talk it out now. We deal with the emotions like a team. They're tough little cookies, my kids. I've found a kind of peace in the chaos. The divorce is almost finalized, and the future's looking different than I thought, but it's looking all right. I'm a full-time dad, and I've never been more committed to a job in my life. I'm baking cookies, and only burning like half of them. I'm at every soccer game cheering the loudest, and we've got this Friday night movie tradition, the kids pick, and I've seen enough animated movies to last a lifetime now. And yeah, I'm dipping my toes back in the dating pool. Not diving in head first or anything, but starting to think about the possibility of a new wife, a new partner in crime. Someone who gets that my kids will always come first and who shares the same core values. I'm cautious, you better believe it, but I'm also hopeful. So here's the kicker, the moral of the story, or whatever you want to call it. Trust, it's everything. Without it, you're building on quicksand. And the truth, no matter how ugly, no matter how brutal, it's worth facing. Lies, they eat away at everything like rust. They might not cause the collapse right away, but give it time, and down it all comes. I've learned a lot about myself, about what I can handle, and about what it really means to stand by your principles. I'm not the same guy I was when I started posting here. I'm a little wiser, a little tougher, and a lot more thankful for the honest people out there. Thanks for being a part of my story, Reddit, for the advice, the tough love, the virtual shoulder to lean on. Keep your eyes open, stand firm, and never settle for less than you deserve. This was Mike, signing off now. Thanks everyone for watching, and if you would subscribe to this channel, it would mean the world to me. Thanks to everyone that does, and enjoy the rest of your day or night.
It's not easy to find out that you've been lied to. It's heartbreaking when that person turns out to be your partner for 10 years. I, 37, male, and have been married to my wife, 36, female. We have been married for 10 years. We are both working professionals in the IT sector, and we have no children. Me and my wife have been happily married for 10 years, but since the last few months, my wife has started acting differently. At first, I thought maybe I was overthinking, but as time passed, it all became too obvious to ignore. We work for different companies, but our offices are in the same area. We have the same lunchtime, and we used to go for lunches together quite a few times. Our colleagues also used to accompany us sometimes. My wife stopped coming to lunch with me 6 months ago. At first, she told me she's busy with work. Then her boss called an emergency meeting. I let it go in the beginning, thinking these were genuine reasons. She started coming home late as well. The reasons were the same. Since we're in the field, I understood that the workload could be heavy. My assumptions were confirmed when she was typing something on her phone at dinner one day. I pulled her phone from her grasp to set it aside, since we don't allow phones to be used during dinner. She became terrified and stood up to get her phone. Nothing like this has ever happened before. Since the start of our relationship, we both believed that trust didn't require us to share our passcodes. If we truly trust each other, we don't have to keep tabs on what the person is doing. Till that day, I never even felt the need to check her phone. She told me she was just texting her sister because her sister had a bad day at work. I told her that I got it, and we kept eating our food without talking. What she did made me feel bad. Being scared wasn't necessary if it was just her sister. There was a problem, but I couldn't just tell her that. This time, I knew she would come up with another excuse. I did not know what to do. As she went to sleep that night, I kept thinking about what she could be hiding from me. In our entire marriage, we've been there for each other through thick and thin, and suddenly she's acting differently.
Hey everyone. Unfortunately, basically everyone who is watching these videos isn't subscribed. It would mean the world to me to quickly get out of the full screen video for 3 seconds and press that subscribe button. It's free, and you can unsubscribe anytime. Sorry for bothering, and thank you so much if you subscribed.
I thought I'd just talk to her in the morning. It's better to communicate rather than come to conclusions by myself. When I woke up the next morning, my wife was not in bed with me. The washroom was also empty. It was not like her to wake up before me. I looked for her in the kitchen, in the garden, but she was nowhere to be found in the house. I got worried. I called her, but she didn't pick up. Just as I was leaving the house to look for her, she came back. Her cheeks were flushed because of the cold. I asked her where she went so early in the morning. She told me she couldn't sleep, so she went for a walk in the park near our house. She kissed me and then went inside to make coffee for us. Just as we were getting inside, I heard a car start up nearby. It was quite loud. I don't usually hear this sound in my neighborhood. Just as the engine started, I saw my wife getting tense, but she covered it up instantly. When I got in my car to go to work, I couldn't stop thinking about my wife. I had no idea what was going on. John, my friend, was also coming out of his house. His little kid was holding on tight to his arms. He waved back when I did. I was going to leave, but I stopped to talk to him for a while instinctively. It's been a while since we spoke. When I asked him what was going on in his life, he told me something that really shocked me. John takes his son to the neighborhood park every night, but it was closed for maintenance. My wife told me she went for a walk in this park in the morning. That really nailed it to the wall. My wife lied to me. I went back home instead of going to work. I had to find out what she was keeping from me. I looked through her closet for something, but there was nothing there. To say I was frustrated would be an understatement. My wife's laptop was left on the table. I turned it on and checked her email. It did not contain anything. I looked over a few more things, but didn't find anything. Another shock of the day came just as I was about to turn it off. This one was 10 times bigger. She got an email at her company's mail. I didn't check her work email because I didn't think there would be anything there, but there was. My wife had received a random email to meet her in a cafe really far from the office. The email address didn't have a name. It was just a random username. This person had emailed her just the location and time. It felt quite secretive. This did not make sense to me. Why was my wife meeting this person? Why did she lie to me in the morning? There are so many questions and no one to answer them. It's been 10 years since we got married, and I thought we were quite happy together. I could have asked my wife, but why would she tell me honestly when she lied to me in the morning? Her actions had planted a seed of doubt in my head. One that wasn't going to go away until I figured out what was going on. I decided it's better to stay quiet and wait till the evening. I wanted to know if she told me truthfully that she's meeting someone or fed me more lies. I didn't have to wait for long. She called me in the evening, telling me that she had to work late for an office meeting her boss had scheduled. I couldn't shake off the uneasy feeling. It was the second lie my wife had told me today. When did my marriage reach this phase when we started lying to each other? I decided it's best to follow her and see for myself who she's meeting. I went to her office just in time to see her leaving. In her car. My heart was pounding in my chest as I quietly trailed behind her car. Her car wound its way through the city while I followed her discreetly. She reached the location mentioned in the email. The lights of the cafe cast a warm aura on the sidewalk. I parked my car a safe distance away, hidden in the shadows. I watched her enter the cafe with a soft smile on her lips. My stomach churned when she hugged a man who stood up as she entered. I was frozen while another man was embracing my wife. My mind raced. How long has she been lying to me? I thought of the moments when I held her in my arms and she told me how happy she was with me. Was all that a lie too? I could have gone inside and demanded an explanation. But I decided against it. I thought it'd be best to let her continue this ruse. I wanted to see how many more lies she fed me while lying in the same bed with me. I wanted to see what else would happen with this mysterious man. I followed her back to our home. I waited near our home after she reached home to get inside. She welcomed me with a sweet smile, like it was completely normal to come home after lying to your husband. I wanted to ask her why she'd been lying to me. I wanted her to look me in the eye and tell me that it was nothing. I wanted her to soothe the thoughts of betrayal swirling in my head. But I couldn't because I knew that she wouldn't tell me the truth. I continued my surveillance. I followed her when she went for lunch with this man and fed me lies about her hectic work schedule or something else. For a week, I saw her meeting this man and having meals together. They hugged each other and then went their way. I did not know what to make of this. If she wasn't doing anything wrong, why was she lying to me? I didn't have to wonder for long, because one afternoon, when she told me that she's stuck in a meeting, she was actually on her way to a very fancy hotel on the other side of the city. I followed her. I thought maybe she's just having lunch with him in the restaurant, but my heart broke into a million pieces when the mystery guy entwined their hands and they went to a room together. I couldn't control myself anymore. I knocked on their door. The mystery guy opened the door shirtless. I saw my wife lying in bed, waiting for him. The smile disappeared from her face when she saw me standing on the other side of the door. I felt like I lost everything in that single moment. I didn't say anything to either of them. Consumed by heartbreak, I left the hotel and made my way home. I sat on the couch in the living room. My thoughts overwhelmed me. I felt a mix of anger, heartbreak, and confusion all at once. I don't know how long I sat there when the front door opened, and my wife came in. She panicked, that was visible. "You don't have to lie to me anymore," I told her quietly as I wiped my tears. I didn't have the energy to listen to any more of her lies. She came and sat beside me. When I thought she wouldn't say anything, I was about to get up. "I'm sorry," she whispered. I asked her how long this has been going on. I wasn't even sure if I wanted to know the answer to that question, but I had to know. She told me it started 8 months ago when she went out of town for a work conference. She met this guy who used to work in that branch of their company. We were just friends in the beginning. She told me with a shaky voice. I asked her to continue, knowing my heart wouldn't be able to take what was coming next. She told me that they got drunk on the last day of the conference, and the desire for excitement led them to bed together. She told me that she felt very guilty the next morning and decided it would never happen again as both of them were married. She came home and lost contact with him, but when he was transferred here 6 months ago and they started working together, one thing led to another, and they couldn't stop themselves from starting the affair again. She told me it all just began as a yearning for something different. As she told me how she went behind my back and lied to me, my trust shattered. She went to meet him that morning when she told me she had gone to park, and he dropped her off in his car. I was devastated. I thought I knew my wife well, but she had been leading a double life all along. The entire foundation of my marriage crumbled beneath me. I went through the day with a blur of emotions. I was not in any condition to make any decision. I asked my wife to give me some space. We lived in the same house without talking to each other. I did not know whether to salvage our marriage or walk away from this betrayal. My wife kept telling me that she's sorry and asked for forgiveness. She told me that she has ended her affair and we can seek counseling, but I felt like my wounds were too deep. Even though the betrayal broke my heart, we went to counseling together. I thought maybe we could still salvage our relationship. We went through various counseling sessions, but I couldn't escape the image ingrained in my head of that day of that hotel room. Who knew how many times they went to some hotel while I waited for her in our home? Our therapist urged us to communicate with each other, but I just couldn't shake the hurt and betrayal she had caused me. The trust one placed in her was irreparably broken. Counseling didn't help in subsiding my pain. The pain was too raw to handle. I decided it'd be best to walk away from this toxic situation. We sat down, and I told her that I could not be with her anymore. Tears streamed down her face, but she had to face the consequences of her actions. I cannot shield her from the result of her own doings. She told me that she'd move out of the house. I didn't stop her, as it was best for her to stay away. I sat in the yard as she said goodbye. Movers came in to take her luggage. I saw all of it happening in front of my eyes. I saw as my marriage of 10 years ended in front of my eyes. She left it to me to decide when I had to file for divorce. After she moved out, I went through my days numb, too overwhelmed by the emotions. I kept thinking if this was my fault, maybe I could have done something so she didn't feel the need to go somewhere else. I continued my counseling sessions. Even though my marriage failed, I still wanted to soothe the pain in my chest. It took time, but the sessions helped me understand that it wasn't my fault for what happened in our marriage. My counselor suggested that I find new hobbies. I didn't have the mental energy to try anything initially. With a little push, I started finding interest in new things. I started picking up hobbies I had neglected while I was busy with my marriage life. It was difficult, but it felt peaceful to start rebuilding my life again. The pain started to subside with time. We filed for divorce on mutual agreement. She told me that she was deeply sorry for the hurt she had caused me and was willing to wait for my forgiveness. I hope we can at least be friends again, she said. I told her that maybe, with time, we could be friends. We started our separate journey for self-discovery. We navigated through divorce and separation while finding our path to healing. Being alone after 10 years of marriage was oddly different. The home felt too empty to be alone. It felt strange not to have plans with someone. I started taking care of my mental health and physical health. I started reconnecting with my old friends. I never had the heart to tell them about my wife's affair. I didn't want to paint her image in a bad light. I still had a sense of loyalty to her. Our divorce proceedings went quite smoothly, and we parted ways forever. It was clear to me that we could not be together again. I didn't think that I could be with someone again. I didn't just give 10 years to our marriage, I gave all of me. While my wife went out to seek excitement, I was busy thinking about our future. My trust cannot be repaired, and my heart is too broken to fall in love again. I hope that everyone reading my story understands the importance of trust in any relationship. A single lie can unravel the strongest of bonds. I ran into my wife 6 months later in the grocery store. We both ran into each other when we were getting hot chocolate in the same aisle. Seeing her after all this time didn't cause me as much as it did in the beginning. The counseling sessions were worth it, I thought in my head. We got divorced, and you finally started drinking hot chocolate, I said to her teasingly. I loved hot chocolate, but she never liked it. It reminded me of you, she said with a smile, which seemed like she missed our marriage life. I smiled at her, and we left her there. Wanna have it together? She asked quite hesitantly. I was about to decline, but maybe I needed to see if I could survive in her company without my chest hurting. I smiled and told her sure. We made our way to a nearby cafe, this time she followed my car. We ordered 2 hot chocolates and had small talks. Strangely enough, it felt oddly nice to talk to her without any hurt or pain. She has broken all the promises we made to each other. My trust cannot be repaired again, but I wasn't going to let that dictate me for the rest of my life. I think in my heart I had forgiven her, but forgiving her didn't mean I was going to place my trust in her again. That ship had sailed when she went to bed with another man. My fear of another betrayal still sits with me. It will take time to finally let go of it. I was just going through one day at a time. It was the advice my counselor gave me, and it really worked. I just hope, with time, I can let that fear go completely.